welcome back for this second part about Houdini. So, and this is the second part. We will install Houdini, the HQ server, the HQ client. You will configure the two services in Windows, and for the last part, we will share a folder for the network and give the possibility to the other computer to have an access, complete access. And you will try to test HQ Wonder with a very easy project. So we will start easily with Houdini. So I will just launch my package files. So the package comes from the SideFX website. So we need to install the main application. The main application will contain Houdini, Houdini Engine, and Mantra, Karma 2. The file association, the license server, the desktop icon, but we need to install HQ client and HQ server at the same time. It's not useful to install plugin, but maybe you need it, so you can on your site do it. I just respect the default install location. Idem and same for the start menu folder. And now we'll choose install location for the HQ server. I will choose the location by default, so that will be the CHQ server for the HQ server. The service name will be HQ server, so we'll take a look after all these what is kind of behavior we have under services on Windows. I don't configure now the shared folder. I will do it myself later. I will do the same for the HQ client, so default folder. I don't change this. I will explain why. The name is localhost, and that's totally true for my Windows. Why? Because my HQ server will be on the same machine than the HQ client, so I don't have to change anything. And for the part number, please keep it like this. For the HQ client services, it will ask you for another name and a password. We will see this later too. So now we have to wait for the final installation. The installation is complete, so now you will take a look on the Windows services to understand how the HQ server and HQ client will work. So I will go directly on services. I'm looking for HQ, and I will find the HQ server and the HQ client. As you see, there's a description and the startup type. You will change one thing about the HQ client. So I will open the property, and I will go on the logon. The account will be a network service, and I want a login who will be able to work as an administrator on the network. That's pretty important to have this kind of login. So in my case, I'm just looking for my own profile, and I will use my own profile because I am administrator on my own computer. I will use my profile as default profile on the HQ client. Like that, I will be sure that my HQ client will be able to work on the network, read the shared folder, and write on the shared folder. So I will have to restart the services just to take the new configuration. So this is done, and now we will take a look on what the HQ server look like. So you will have to open an internet web page, and if you remember, the server is local, so that means I take a look on the local host, and the port is 5,000, sorry. So take a look, and great. As you see, we have some tasks already rendered by the system, and that's totally logical, because when a client is added to the HQ server, the services need to update this client with a lot of new tools. So I open the client page, I see my own computer as a client. I will click on the name to just read the different property. So in the property you will see the host name, you will see the status. You can add a description, for example, master computer, the IP address, the platform, the number of CPU, the memory. So, and you will be able to see the different tasks made by this computer, ordered by the HQ server. So now we will share a folder for the other slave computer. So I just opening a file explorer, and I will share my disk called S. This is a specific disk because it is a RAID system with 4 disks, 4 hard drive, and I will share the complete disk on the network. So right click on the disk, properties, sharing. Inside I will use the advanced sharing, click on share this folder. I will keep the S name, that will be pretty easier for me to keep the name, and I will take a look on the permission. So for the moment everyone is able to connect to my disk, but not able to write something. So I have to change everyone for a full control, and I will add something else. I will take a look on the user with a S, like that. So yes, and I will give the same power. So why I use users? I want that anyone who will be recognized by my system be able to write on the S hard drive. So like that, I will sure that if I use my username and my password Windows from a Linux machine, I will be able to write and read on this shared network. So I click on OK, OK again, and close. So if you take a look, you will see that there is now a little picture on the red. That means that the disk is now shared to the network. Okay. So I will take a look with you on the HQ client server and HQ client folder. So if I open the HQ server, I will see a lot of files. The most important one is HQ server ini. If I open it, I will see the configuration for the HQ server. So for example, there is the possibility to send me an email when I want to know where is the different task. I have the name convention about a path for a project if I work on a Linux, Windows or Mac. For the moment I don't want to touch this. We will configure this mapping later, very later in my course about HQ. I will take a look on the same file, but inside the Hqueue client, I will have the Hqueue node ini. So this like the Hqueue client, Hqueue server .ini. It's just a configuration for the Hqueue client, and you will see there is a server name, the port, and the first share folder we have. So I can remove this because it's useless for the moment. I will just save this file. So I'm sure that the client is looking for a server which is localhost and on the same port. This kind of file will be modified if we work on Linux on Mac. That's pretty important. So everything is correct. So we will just launch our first job. For the first job, the first time we launch Houdini, we have to configure the license server. So I will click on I have a paid license and I want to use SideFX as my license server. Click on next. He will ask me my email. On my password, of course. This is pretty interesting because with the SideFX as a server license, is really easy to be connected to the server, and you don't have to install manually each license. It will be up to date every time, every day. So I prefer to use this kind of license. So as you see, I have two Houdini license. Same way, I have one Houdini engine here and two other one here. So as I said at the first video, I have 5 Houdini who will be able to work on my Wonder Farm. So we'll just close this, relaunch my Houdini. So this is my Houdini project. I know this is pretty basic, but the most important is to understand how you will launch a Wonder with a Wonder Farm. So first point, my project is saved on the shared folder network. So if I show you where is he, is on S Houdini project WonderQ test, Wonder test 01. And I will use a mantra with a PBR profile. I will render 25 frame, and to launch it to the WonderQ, I just have to add this node, Hqueue Render. So what is the different parameter we have? The first one is a job name. So in my case, I will just create a Wonder test. So this name will appear as a job name here. I will have to choose the output driver. What is the output driver? I will just show you something. If I link my mantra to the Hqueue Render, the output driver will be unreachable. So the output driver is just what you want to render. So in my case, I will just take my mantra and put inside it. For the Hqueue server, that's right, my Hqueue server is the local host, as you know. So if you take a look on the name, that's the same one. You will have to change this later when you will have to add a Linux computer, because the Linux computer will be on another place in the network. It will not be the local host. The Hqueue server will be the IP address of the Hqueue server computer. Now the last part is the target HFS. That's pretty difficult to know what is. So especially when we have this very strange lines. I will just split this sentence in few parts. The first one is a variable called Hqueue. So Hqueue is a variable to explain to the slave and the computer and the network where is the path, the basic path to the project. So for example, as Houdini project, or the IP address, or SMB to talk about a Samba server. So it's just a variable, and this variable is already configured. If you take a look inside your Hqueue web page, you go into network folders, and you will find as a first shared network. Come on, you will find the Hqueue root there. So the Hqueue root represent where is the path, the command path to explain to the different computer which paths we have to follow to reach the right folder for the render. In our case, the local host is the right one. Yes, we render from the same computer who manage the project, so you can keep local host. But on Windows, my folder doesn't take name as Hqueue. It's not his name. His name is Hess. So I will use Hess, and sometimes you have to map the letter because sometime on Windows that should be another name as a letter. That should be shared or something like that. But in my case, I keep the Hess name, if you remember, and it will be mapped as Hess in Windows. So we have to save this like that to be sure that the computer will understand where he will find the project. Second part, Houdini distro. It is a subfolder inside the base. I will explain why later. And the last part is the client arc. The client arc, this is the platform we used. So if I open a client, for example, my computer, the platform will be the variable client arc. So it will write Windows x86 64. So in our case, to explain literally and replace the variable by what we have, that should be something like that. And this is totally useless for us. The target HFS is where is Houdini is installed. Where is the location of your Houdini? So the easiest way for the moment is just look where is Houdini in my computer. So that would be C, program file, side effect software, and Houdini. And accept this. Just to select a file, but this is the path to my Houdini folder. So for the moment, I will use this. You will see later on my other video how to change this to be interactive to the specific computer and not on my only Windows. So we have some other parameter, but you will see that when we are able to finish with the first slave or Linux. We have the priority. I'm alone on the on the network, so I can keep 5. Render current heap file. Yes, that's true. There is different possibilities. There's a render target heap. There's a copy project to share folder. And you can use existing EFD. The EFD is a description of a scene to be renderable to a standalone render engine. So there is this kind of philosophy for Mantra, there is this kind of philosophy for Renderman, Arnold. In our case, it's not useful because we use already Mantra. You have two checkbox, and this first one, automatically save heap file, is pretty important. Just avoid a message from Houdini to say when you click on submit job, oh, your project is not saved, do you want to save it, etc, etc. So I prefer to check this box. So I guess we are ready for the first submit job. So this is our first job. So I will click on the job ID to open the job. The job ID will contain different tasks. For example, the first one will be the EFD generation. And after the EFD generation, we will have a task by frame we want to render. So I will just click on the new job ID. So it says a job ID global, and there is a job ID by task. As you see now, I guess the first EFD is render, so that's why we have a first task called render heap, render test, EFD, heap name, the number of the frame EFD. So I will just open the first task. You will see it found where is the Houdini folder, but I just enter it manually before. He found where is the file, so we have localhost s Houdini. That's pretty logical because the computer is local s, so he look the file as a network file. So this path is typical from a network path. So localhost, the S, and the project. That means that later you will be able to change the localhost by the IP address of the computer to explain to the other computer, hey guy, take a look. This is a path to my project. This will work for other Windows, but for the Linux computer or Mac computer, the path is totally different, and we will have to configure it after to be able to reach the right project. You will see the progress in percent, so 0, 4, and everything. So I was pretty lazy, just render one frame. I changed my job. But as you see, we have a succeeded task for the IFD and a succeeded task for the frame. So everything is working well. We just finished the first step to your SQL server, the Hqueue client on Windows. Now, the next challenge, we will have to add a Unix machine in the render farm.